white liberals. They don't have any culture. Their culture, you want to know what their culture is? In the basement, smelling their mom's underwear.
I think we might be self-reporting a little bit. I've never heard the mom underwear sniffing liberal smear. I've heard a lot of smears against liberals. I've made a lot of smears against liberals. That one might be coming from the heart.
That's what the goal is to depopulate the Anglo-Saxon race. Because they are the ones with the strongest bloodlines.
This guy is a phenomenal example against the intellectual superiority of white people. I don't know how you can look in the mirror as this guy and think, yes, my group is the superior group. I'm gonna go a bit farther and say it's not sociological. I just think this guy's got like low IQ juice in his brain. He just strikes me as just a very empty-headed person. I'd love to respond to your comments, but the mods banned me. I banned you. As a longtime fan of Vaush, I'm honestly disappointed with this response. Hopefully the mods reconsider my ban so I can address the comments. Nope. Multiple users have sent me DMs informing me they have been banned for commenting on this post. This is extremely disappointing. Edit 3. Looks like Vaush can't handle the mildest of criticism and has resorted to silencing people who disagree with him. As someone who's donated more than 100 donos, yoink, and who is a Patreon supporter, this is really making me reconsider my support. Looks like I've been What? Wait! Hold on, mods! Hold on, mods! No. The liberal purge is not being abated. No. Now it's 60 days. Okay, that's a jailbreak. Jailbreak! Jailbreak! Lib jailbreak! Back in the cage! Get it back! Get it back! Reinstate order. We have to crack down. Don't worry, this won't lead to any bad precedents. There we go.
Government is what takes all of your money and gives you very little in return.
That is not true.
Okay, that's kind. I mean, it's kind of true. It depends on the kind of government.
He backs off immediately. Look at this kid's Chad Stonewall face, too. Sir? No, that is not true. You're lying to me. Do not tell lies. Ultimately, the lie is this, right? The belief that you can be a white nationalist without being a white supremacist. The only way you could justify whatever harm would be incurred through white nationalism was if you believed white people were better. Because it is through the perceived inferiority of non-white people that you would even find it worthwhile to create a space where they couldn't exist. But you know, that can't be demonstrated either. So it's always some adjacency issue. Well, a place for our people to live in peace. You can live in peace wherever you want. Live anywhere. Wait, you're not talking about a place you can live in peace. You're talking about a place where you can keep other people from leaving. It's always a euphemism, right? It's always the next issue over, the adjacent point.
Yeah. And I mean, for another point I want to make, you know, like regarding the two different groups of white nationalists, you know, the ones who want the peaceful solution and the ones who want, you know, to just fill up a bloodlust, you know, they're just anti-non-white for the sake of being anti-non-white. For people who claim that they want to secure the existence of their people in the future for white children, they seem rather enthusiastic about starting a cataclysmic, you know, race war that would not only get a lot of, you know, people of color killed, but it would wholesale slaughter tens of millions of innocent white people who have no say in the matter whatsoever, or probably don't even agree with them for all we know.
Yeah, well, people in America don't want a white ethno-state, of course, you know. There are a few places that do.
I mean, like, cereal is all sugar, right? And
yes, okay, cereal is unhealthy, right? But like there are different reasons that food is unhealthy. So fast food is pernicious, particularly because it combines all of the things that make food like addictive into one thing. When people go to eat fast food, they typically overeat substantially.
Oh no!
Like I would be interested to see the average caloric intake of someone eating a meal at like McDonald's.
That's just
wait. If you're poor and food insecure, that's a good thing. Being able to get those calories in quickly in a hot meal that you can get like really, really easily, that's a good, dude. You can't You can't legislate like fitness like this. You can't like, well, the poor people would all have abs if only they couldn't buy McDonald's. Like, no. You know how people tend to be healthy? You know who the healthiest people are in America? Rich people. People with money because they can afford nice organic foods at nice fucking grocery stores that have poor people bouncers at the outside, okay? That's the reason why. They have time, free time they can use to exercise. Stress isn't killing them and making them go bald young. Look at indigenous cultivars. They're good for pre-industrial sustenance farming. The fuck is this shit? God damn. No wonder we beat indigenous people everywhere all the time. What the fuck is this? They were powered by weird beans. How do you eat beans? They're so damn hard to crunch and don't even taste good. I'm going to assume that's a joke, but just in case you've been living a very difficult life up until this point, you have to cook the beans. I don't know if that's a joke. There's a very slight possibility that it's not a joke, and I'm doing this. This is an act of public service, but you have to cook the beans. Have some balls. Go full fucking tilt. All right. I don't want one blelf. I don't want 3 blelfs. Okay. I want a blelf blempire. All right. If you're going to have like, because why wouldn't they? Elves are geographically, politically, and ethnically distinct. If there are black elves, there wouldn't be like 2 black elves. That would be the black elf blempire. Go for it. Like don't fuck around with me. If you want to have a black dwarf, a blorf as it's known, okay? Don't give me one blorf who just inexplicably exists in a society around a bunch of dwarfs, white elves. Wait. White dwarfs, thank you. Don't just give me your fucking PC diversity hire bullshit. Give me the fucking dwarf empire, okay? I want them to go mining deep in a mountain, all right? I want them to go fucking mining deep, all right? I want you to enter the mountain and kick down the doors and just see like thousands of blorfs, okay? That's what I'm talking about.
Also now on 7, a high school in Westwood cooking up controversy. Administrators put an item on their lunch menu that was meant to celebrate Black History Month. 7's Sabrina Silva explained.
Okay, so it wasn't just an accident. They deliberately put it on the menu.
What was that about?
A special Black History Month.
Wait, was that how it was edited? Wait, was that a glitch?
Explains.
What was that about?
A special Black History Month menu getting heat from students at Severian Brothers High School in Westwood.
It's kind of a confusing situation.
Liam Baker, who's a senior at the all-boys private school, says the meal, fried chicken, was broadcasted during Tuesday morning's announcement.
Okay, I hate to do the id pull thing, but is there not a black student we could interview? Are we going to see a black person at any point during this?
Administrators say the idea came from a black cafeteria worker, saying it was an attempt to educate students about Black history and culture.
Oh my God, they got set up! Oh my God, they got set up! The black cafeteria worker was like, hey, you know, it'd be... Hey, you know how you could celebrate Black History Month?
La, 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 wait till I get my money right.
Hasan, it is Tommy Laren, and hey, listen, I have been told that you are a liberal, far-left, communist, but you don't live like it. You just got a new Porsche. Now listen, that sounds kind of capitalist to me.
I really dislike what he's done here. Not because of the car that he's bought, not because of the price of the car, not because of anything like that. I really, really, really dislike conspicuous consumption. So for those of you who don't know the term, I guess the term is kind of self-explanatory because it means what its component words mean. Conspicuous consumption is the practice of buying things, consuming products, in a manner which demands attention. You're doing so for the sake of bringing about that attention. I understand where Hasan's coming from on this one in terms of like why he does what he does, because it's really tough to react to something while eating at the very least. Obviously, he has his, I think 2 to 3 hour poop breaks twice a stream. I don't know. I see his chair a lot. I don't watch him. But that aside, even when you're eating food, it's pretty tough to be transformative. Normally, when I'm reacting to other people's videos, which I actually do all the time, it's like the main thing that I do, actually. It's very transformative because I talk over it 3 times over. 15-minute video becomes 45 minutes of screaming. In which case, I'll take ownership of that. Or if I'm just watching it for entertainment, which I've only done a couple of times, really, I usually try to be like a band man for the channel itself, Like, if you're watching something and you're not really reacting, it's just kind of entertainment, then you can be like, hey, this is the channel, look at how pog this shit is, go subscribe, and I think that's been pretty helpful. There was this channel that I liked called Echo Gecko. I still like them. I don't know why I said past tense, but they do videos on urban planning and stuff, and I think we were able to get their subs up like 50% of what they were. Because, if you watch something and you're like, hey, go sub to this or I'll delete my channel, so on and so forth. I feel like that's okay. But these are 2 exceptions. You make it transformative, or you become a cheerleader for the content you're watching as a way of energizing your audience to go and subscribe. There are things about Joe Rogan that I think are cool, and I sincerely mean that. I genuinely like the fact that he comes across like a regular dude. I don't think it's some front that he puts on, like how Tucker Carlson LARPs as some kind of everyman with his woodshop, like, show set, I genuinely believe that Joe Rogan can like Bernie Sanders, have good conversations with Jordan B. Peterson, and agree with, like, COVID denialists, and without any, in his mind, contradiction between the 3. To be fair, regular dudes do masculine posturing all the time, so that's not really an argument against that, right? Like, regular guys will do that privately scared about something, publicly putting on a bold face shit to look like macho. That's like a pretty normal guy thing. I don't think it's necessarily part of some, like, deliberate calculating strategy. I think that he's fairly authentic. Do you think he's sincere about liking Bernie? Yeah, I do. You have to understand that a lot of people's brains are just kind of soup. Most people don't have, like, a really cohesive ethical or political system that they subscribe to.
I hope this wakes people up to the value of vaccines too. There's so many wackos out there that think that vaccines are, a scam, or they're dangerous, or there's so many people out there that won't vaccinate their children.
No.
One of your best shows you ever did was...
Oh, he's even advocating for children being vaccinated. Oh, no.
Peter Hotez.
Yes,
he's a dear friend of
guy.
mine. I do too. He's a dear friend of mine, as you. And, he is one of the champions out there on this very issue.
Yes.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's really an important point, that, we got to get this idea. These vaccines can be life-saving. If we had one right now, think how different this situation would be in the world.
Oh, we found out exactly how different Joe Rogan's situation would be once the vaccines actually came out.
Right. Thank you for what you do say about vaccines, because people listen to you, and we need every positive voice, because we have so many crazy voices.
Imagine being this guy and talking to Joe Rogan and being like, we need you. People listen to you. And we need you to advocate how important vaccines are. And Joe Rogan's like, yeah. And this guy left the studio feeling vindicated. But he forgot that Joe Rogan's brain is made out of soup.
Not gonna lie, I'm not that smart.
Noah Samsen's a fucking idiot.
I'm good at making YouTube videos and talking about other YouTubers, but that's about it. Please don't copyright claim me. You're being paid in exposure. You're welcome, Hasan. But this is what people mean when they talk about how debate streams are all about winning and domination. Vaush beat Professor Flowers in this debate. He won. He proved to the cheering Coliseum crowd that she is the bad, dumb lady, and he is the good, smart guy. That's how it will exist in his mind and the minds of his audience of hundreds of thousands of people until, well, forever. It seems like far smarter people than me have tried to...
Until death.
...explain why this shit is ridiculous and reinforces white supremacy on...
I've gone over those videos too, and they don't. I actually think that Professor Flowers reinforces white supremacy because essentialist racial perspectives on these issues not only take away legitimacy from actual land back activism, but they frame decolonization as essentially a race war, a spite-based position by which different racial and ethnic groups have the right to engage in retaliatory violence because it'll never be surpassed by the initial violence they were subjected to. In reality, of course, that is not the case, and land back activists don't want this. Maybe some ridiculously small fractional minority, but not good land back activists, certainly. I think it's quite harmful. If I were a white nationalist and I were to watch videos from Professor Flowers or from Badmouth or from John the Duncan, it would feel incredibly validating to me, you know? Because I would watch them and I would think, oh, they are just like me. They're just the opposite side of me. And I think that's a very destructive perspective, you know? Like, they look at that, and I know this, by the way, because I see how the right responds to a lot of my engagement with other types, you know? And a lot of the man, I'll be real with you guys, okay? I get emails, and I've gotten a good number of emails that have essentially been from alt-righters or far-right types being like, you know, nice try, but that's the left, you know, anti-white. You know, they just want a race war, that type of thing. These videos, these perspectives are a gift to the far right because they see that and they're like, oh, you really are just, you dress it up in academic language, but at the end of the day, it's blood and soil, isn't it? You know, I find that reprehensible. And I don't think, by the way, that me criticizing those elements of the left is me signal boosting or exaggerating how bad they are. I feel like the problem here is people downplaying it.
I think like that's where I disagree is that, you know, it's sprinkled throughout that conversation where she said that that's not something that people are considering. But the question that was being posed by you was, you know, if they did this, if they decided to do this, what would you say to that? And it's not that that question is the wrong question to ask. It's that she at no point suggested that that was going to happen, and that was something that was happening. And to view the idea, the simple claim, like the simple claim of colonized people should be able to decide. It's not about whether or not it's moral or ethical to make the decision to kill their oppressors. That type of extreme is the problem, because it is a very kind of baseline claim about autonomy that I don't think you disagree with, but I think in your pursuit of I don't really know. I guess for you it is to nail down the ethical. What's the word? To nail.
The people of South Africa should be able to shoot their homosexuals and bury them in a mass grave.
I know I've heard this argument. I no, that's again that doesn't apply to what I'm saying here.
Wait, hold on. You're making the autonomy argument. Now, I recognize that an autonomous nation state will have the ability to commit ethnic cleansing, but in practice, we never ever talk about the right to do a thing in the context of whether they have the national sovereignty to do so. A nation with autonomy will be able to purge its queer people. That's a thing they can do as a product of national autonomy. But no leftist in their right mind would go, well, I do think actually that America should have the right to kill like all their gay people because, you know, America's a sovereign nation and that's part of a sovereign nation. Like, we wouldn't talk about it that way. The issue I have is Professor Flowers was saying that colonized people, by which she meant black people, should have the right to decide whether to live with their oppressors. And given it was the context of South Africa, that would be white people. And in following qualifications, you know, she's essentially said that what I'm about to infer is correct. But when you're talking about choosing to live with in the context of a nation state, we're talking about killing a group or deporting them, and either meet the definition of an ethnic cleansing. Vaush, Christ. I don't know, man. Pretty nakedly pro-imperialism, overbearingly invested in linguistic purity markers, dismissive of left criticisms of liberals, libertarian except for people he doesn't like. I like that Natalie Wynn is trafficking in banalities and middle-brow wisdom, and his criticisms of me are like, Vaush is bad, and like, I hate him, and he's bad, and like, what?
Women come from all different backgrounds and thought processes, and I think we should support the freedom of choice, the freedom of speech.
What? What? I can't do conservatives, guys. I can't do it. Do you know why I like arguing with people on the left more than people on the right? It's because people on the left are capable of putting their pants on without a fucking guide on how to do so. People on the left, even if they're absolute fucking brainlets, don't need IKEA-style assembly instructions when they make their grilled cheese sandwiches. Oh my god.
Why should women, like, with a platform be forced to align with the mainstream narrative of what it means to be a woman and a feminist? Like, why can't...
Wait, align with the mainstream narrative of what to be... Wait, I'm sorry, was Adolf Hitler a feminist? Guys, the jury's out on this one. Why would... What a daring and unconventional, you know, approach towards feminism Adolf Hitler must have taken. What? What do you... Do these words have any definition at all? Any whatsoever? Why should we have to expect a woman to think things that are in line with the things that one would think if we were the thing she's saying that she is? I don't know, man. I don't know. That's crazy. So Capri pointed out it's funny that Destiny would take the position that he has on this when in the past he said that a trans person not disclosing their genitalia to a potential hookup is tantamount to rape. To this, Destiny says, if you are noticing someone is taking a condom off and can't say anything, you probably don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. You should probably just grab a caretaker or something and stick to masturbating to furry porn. Sorry. So I think that obviously this ignores a lot of potential circumstances of the original tweet that Mindwaves was quote tweeting. Additionally, I think that there's a lot being left on the table here. I don't think, or I should say, I don't expect people to always respond very well to being sexually assaulted. I think it's very callous and essentially rape apologism to say that if you don't have a perfect response to being sexually assaulted, you're not mature enough to engage in sex. I am a big guy, and I still feel like if somebody violated my consent in that way, or if I was being, say, ridden while wearing a condom, and then they took my condom off and just continued to have sex with me, you know, I'd say I wasn't paying attention for a moment or whatever. That's a difficult situation to maneuver around. Destiny's still operating under the impression that the condom was taken off mid or at the beginning of sex. But again, what if it had happened afterwards? What if she only realized that he had taken the condom off after he came in her and potentially, you know, impregnated her or STI risks or what have you? He doesn't know, but he's assuming because the assumption gives him the power to engage in victim blaming. If you think that Trudeau, a person who is willing to freeze assets over economic damage to target political enemies without due process, and willing to force striking postal workers back to their jobs by declaring their absence a harm to the Canadian way of life and pushing through back to work legislation, if you really think that these things added together aren't laying the brickwork for a system in which labor power is incapable of mobilizing, then you are woefully, insanely naive. We have to recognize how these systems of control get to where they are, affect things the way they do, and frankly, the fact that so many people on the left don't understand how this is far more dangerous than the military being sent in to clear a blockade is very worrying to me. Whether or not people support something, build a movement around something, coalesce around something, a lot of that comes down to how visible it is. And the government, just with no recourse, being able to just freeze your life. No due process, no court order, just... It would be the end of any organized protesting the government decides was a sufficient threat to their interests.
You're a fucking Canadian. You're less than human to me. Do you know what I talk about issues? Do you know that I talk about issues in countries all over the world? Do you think I get all their shit right? The thrust of the issue is what matters principally here. You get that, right? The actual political arguments. Go fuck yourself. How entitled do you have to be as a Canadian? The significant political distinction between my country and theirs invalidate any concerns you might have about overreach of government. Shut the fuck up. Do you have any idea how sniveling bitch fuck Canadians I've had in my replies on Twitter who have been screaming and crying that American dare talk about their country's interest? You don't have a country, okay? You have a fractional portion of a country that is kept alive by your parasitic attachment to my massive behemoth United States of America. Shut the fuck up, all right? You don't deserve to talk about your shit, all right? Jesus fucking Christ, this is the biggest national crisis you've had in decades. And it's truckers on a road. Holy shit, deal with a 9/11. Get 10 9/11s. Oh my God, let us handle our own issues. You've been brought to your knees by a right-wing protest. Shut the fuck up, Jesus fucking Christ. These are your words.
Was anything there incorrect?
All of it was fucking useless.
Useless. Okay, this is exactly what I mean. Why do you watch me, man? Ah, yes, here you go. This whole fucking video, dude. Crack pipe. Dun 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 dun. Whoa. Da 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 da. There we go. Now we're staying high. Sure.
They openly hate and try to destroy all the pillars of Western society, whether or not they're positive such as science, capitalism, freedoms like speech, and Christianity.
Sure, man. This image is being used as part of a well-researched argument. Guys, listen, okay, I've got a highly researched argument that I want to throw your way, all right? Now, hold on, okay, so do you know what the cuck zone is? All right, let me explain it to you. Holy shit. This guy is crazy Dunning-Kruger pilled, man. This guy probably thinks he's like 600 IQ, and all of his arguments are basically just a distillation of boomer Facebook posts. I'm playing with my cat, who's being very annoying. You might see her in a bit, because she's death staring the ball of feathers I'm jiggling. Anyway, I want to talk to you about something, okay? I'm kind of limited in my ability to use the computer from where I'm sitting. But let's talk about Snap. You know what Snap is? Because I don't. Well, I do. I don't know what the acronym stands for. I know nutrition somewhere in there. Something nutrition. Something. Look, it's a federal government program where people who make very little money in the United States have the ability to they essentially get a little ticket they can use on some food items. Not a lot of stuff, mind you. There was some discourse on Twitter on Snap where people were talking about whether or not it's messed up that poor people can't buy the hot food. Now, Snap benefits are not much. How much is it, chat? We're really running off the cuff here. It's a couple hundred. Look, it's not that much. It's not that much, and you're not allowed to get a lot of stuff on it, okay? America has a pretty gutted welfare system as it is, and the question always boils down to this. This is like the central question of anything pertaining to a welfare state, right? And it's how much can you trust poor people to make good use of services they're provided?
I don't want to be uncharitable, but it's almost like just looking at Vaush was an argument against pornography.
I think that's what happened here. I think basically,
wait, is that a compliment? Like if you've got guys looking like me wandering around, you don't need pornography? I don't even understand what that means. That was a diss? Obviously they meant it as a diss. I'm trying to understand. Do I look like a person who jerks off a lot? Because I do. My dick is a muscle. I give it a lot of work, you know? I stay fit. Thank you. Also, keep in mind, what was the name of the guy I debated again? Michael Jones? This guy does actually look like a goblin. If this is what accumulating prodigious semen and never releasing it. Here we go. This is the only photo I can find of him. We're just going to have this guy up. This actually makes him look a lot better than he did in the video. I don't know if anyone has like a screenshot or like a link or whatever, but because here we go. This is from Goodreads, okay? Because he almost looks likable here. Here we go. This is more how I remember him.
You got two paradigms. You got this old guy who has raised 5 children and has 21 grandchildren. And with all of his failings, he actually did do that. Do you want to be like him? Do you want to be like him? Do you want to be like him? Or do you want to be this wanker who just starts screaming at you?
You know that, like, back in the good old days, we would just hit each other with rocks, right? And I guarantee you I can lift a bigger one than you.
He would invariably stop, interrupt you, and say, well, what do you mean by that? Guys, perfected this tactic of basically
the sneaky debate tactic of asking clarifying questions when a person's best argument against you is that you have a darkened mind and therefore cannot perceive his ideas.
If there ever proof that lust darkens the mind, it's Vaush and the way he performed during that debate.
I'm sorry, repeat that last question.
If you had, in some gender abolitionist future, you know, a child born to two parents, the parents are without gender, and so is the child without an ascribed gender. And the parents, you know, maybe one of them or both of them act in ways which are stereotypically masculine or stereotypically feminine, but it's not because that's their gender. There's not like a hard name for that. These would be as essentialist of categories as being a goth or being a gamer. You know, it's like a thing you can run into. It's a habit. It's a lifestyle pattern. But a gender ascribes some kind of essentialist nature to those tendencies. And I guess that de-essentialization is what I'm interested in. Do you think that would be like harmful to a kid to be born into an environment like that? And in regards to misogyny in the online left, I mean, it's obviously a huge issue. Folks, if watching my channel has taught you guys anything, I hope it is that saying you're on the left does not make you any less likely to be a gigantic piece of shit. Because the number of lefties who I talk with nonstop who demonstrate all of the same fundamental negative biases that we see in like alt-righters it's just this constant fucking thing, man. And honest to God, for a lot of people, them being like feminists or whatever is honest virtue signaling. That is a real thing that really happens. Like, I don't know, stage play on like the Harlem Renaissance seems like an easy layup. I don't like it's the Harlem
There were
Renaissance.
actual black playwrights then too.
Yeah,
That's the worst part.
Yeah, plus, you know, I don't know. Seems like you could do a lot there. And it's worth noting, too, even with the Hamilton stuff, right, that ultimately this, you know, piece of black staffed media, at least, is ultimately a veneration of slave owners, right? I mean, like, they're played by black actors, but, you know, it's the founding fathers, right? What, two of them didn't have slaves? And I think the two that didn't weren't even in the movie, or in the play. So, you know, at the end of the day, like, maybe you enjoy like the hip hop music or whatever. Great. You know, it's well-written music, but a lot of people are going home like, oh, wow, the founding fathers really were cool. You know, it's like, well, okay, maybe we delivered them that message in an interesting fashion. I don't know.
It's really all Americans need more of is believing that the founding fathers were holier than thou.
Yeah, and it paints over a lot too. Like, you know, George Washington is just uncritically. Almost uncritically. They mention at one point, you know, Hamilton had slaves, you know, that doesn't come up. Jefferson was bad because he was annoying? Like that was the reason why they harped on him. Look, I understand, like, not everything has to, you know, be the harshest condemnation imaginable. You can have fun with it, but it's really odd. Like, that would be the direction you go. Like, we're going to have a black stage play and it's going to sell like gangbusters, and we're going to have it be highly sympathetic to the slave owners. That's, you know?
Well, Vaush, let me ask you this. Are you saying that a system that maybe had similar hierarchical structures to other systems sometimes produces these weird results of mimicking those larger power systems and making weird movies that for some reason don't connect to black people because of those systems? Yeah. I don't know. Very
female drone pilots too. Though I will have to okay, wait, actual real question. Would Hamilton have been better or worse where there were one or multiple songs that directly showed slaves and all the slaves were white people getting dragged around? Would that have been better or worse?
It would have been good just for the memes, honestly.
How do you stop yourself from thinking about the Martin Luther King son?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just like
exactly.
The whitest guy, like blonde hair too. I mean, just like, you know, albinos getting dragged around.
Like really big geopolitical and economic forces, like, you know, the entirety of the EU, you know, maybe Australia, North America, you know, you can get the entirety of the NAFTA group in on it. Then you're going to have such a big, like, you know, base to begin with that there still will be some negatives to the economy, sure. But it's going to be, per my understanding, per my analysis, going to be more likely that the people outside of the trade agreements are going to cave first before the people within it will. That would be my answer to that question. But I will say this, okay? The way I see this going, and the way I see this going, the way I hope this goes, is that we rally massive popular support for this specific policy. Instead of just being like, okay, climate change is a thing, we need like massive popular support. We need the voter base to be like, hey, we want this. This is what we need. This is what needs to happen. And then hopefully what we would see then is the elected representatives follow suit and, further, push for that and have that as part of their policy platform and move towards getting it done. I will say, though, I understand why people are being like, hey, it's unlikely, we're never going to get this popular support or whatever. You might have that perception, but what I find pretty strange is that we can have this entire conversation about worker co-ops and market socialism, and there isn't a single thing was like, there's no point even arguing for this. This is never going to happen. We're not going to get the average Republican on board with like something that might have socialism in the name or socialist roots or whatever. But then us talking about climate change here is like completely unattainable. This policy is not going to happen at all. I think that's a bit strange when it comes to the analysis there. But yeah.
Well, the difference is that in both cases, I'm taking the same position, which is to say we should do the most that we can. And you're taking the position that we should take the more limited or limited to the more pragmatic stuff. In the case of climate change, we have a pretty literal time limit. I don't think we should delay with the worker cooperative stuff either, but in both cases, my position is consistent, which is we can explore whatever available opportunities we have at the moment. Sure, don't get me wrong, but we should also do everything and anything because it's a non-negotiable point. And in terms of climate change, we don't really have an institutional forum for doing this that would work nationally, so I default to answers that come to me as more pragmatic. Whether we're talking federal institution of worker cooperatives or eco-robloxing, different directions you can take with that. Look, in a sane world, I think your proposal would work. In a proletarian world, I think your proposal would work. With regards to controlling how you feel about things, okay? I don't smoke weed that much, in part because I'm high on life. And also because when I do, I tend to get depressive. See, I have manic depression. And for the most part, that doesn't affect me that much because A, I'm on lithium bicarbonate, and B, I'm Bill Dipperly. But when I'm high, it exacerbates the negative feelings. And it makes me feel sort of existentially depressed, like, the universe is so big, what does it all matter, blah, blah. And it used to be that when I had those feelings, it was very, very negative. I didn't like that at all. However, one thing that made me feel better was whenever I did have those sort of intrusive thoughts, there was something I could repeat to myself, which was, the only reason I'm having these thoughts is because I'm high, And you have to let that become an overriding mechanism in your mind. You know what I mean? The only reason I'm thinking any of this is because I'm high. It's sensible to me because I'm high. It comes to mind because I'm high. But I will not always be high, and then I will not think about it. And that's true. When you sober up, then those thoughts stop happening the way they do. But the thing is, in a way, the effect that weed has on your cognition is not too dissimilar to the effect that a depressive episode has on your cognition, in the sense that both of them are temporary alterations of your default brain state. So if you're feeling depressive in a general sense, and you have these negative feelings, you can think, well, these thoughts come to mind because I'm feeling depressive. These thoughts come to mind and feel natural and reasonable, and I can justify them in my head because I'm feeling depressive. But I won't always, and then they will cease to feel that way. And the lips are prominent. However, we do have a critical problem here, and it's that this design is disgusting. This is just repulsive, I don't know how to put. I feel like looking at this, I feel like I'm doing the thing. You know how people will say that drag is a caricature of femininity? This is like a caricature of humanity. You know what I mean? I'm feeling like that that reflexive disgust, that uncanny valley feeling, like of watching some shambling monstrosity like scrape together a wig and like pull up clothing, and that's literally what it is. Well, there you are. Anyway, I don't think the drag is a caricature of feminine. Well, okay, no, a lot of drag is, but that's a good thing, so it's fine. But this is bad, so that's bad. Guardchamp, that's got to be a yes. High value, powerful, yes, that's got to be a smash. Got to be a smash. Yeah, gotta be a smash. You know this thing's gonna furl out a fat fucking cock too. Yeah, snatched waist. My God, look at that. Those wings, you know? 100%. Oh, well, yeah, there's Lucario. Easy yes. Everyone wants to fuck Lucario. I've seen the documents. I've seen the math, you know? Yeah, everyone would, Lucario. Lucario has, of course, fat thighs, you know? Strong, determined expression. The single spike titty is a classic staple of fuckability in Pokemon. And also, let's just say dreadlocks. Sure. I don't know, 4 dreads. Time for tone indicators in your tweet. I can't. I'm not that autistic. I refuse. I will not tone indicator. Listen, Jordan Peterson was wrong to lie about Bill 16, but I will Jordan Peterson, you fucks, on tone indicators on Twitter, okay? I will not. They will shoot me. Shoot me before I use JK or SRS. I will not. I refuse. This is compelled speech. I'll do it. I will. I will not.